Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm an Airbus pilot, and today I want to talk about the A220's FMC or FMS or however you want to call it, based on your flight simulator background as a Boeing or as an Airbus guy. Now, this FMS is the most intuitive that I've ever used in my life. What do I mean with that? Well, let me show you. Now, the standard Airbus FMS is a little, well, wacky. You really gotta learn by heart what you gotta do at what time. With the A350 and A380, Airbus has improved that and brought a little bit of a sequence into it. Boeing, on the other hand side, has always been guiding you with those prompts on the lower right of these screens and kind of have been guiding you around the menus, but then again, not everything has always been covered. So Boeing was a step ahead of Airbus there in terms of the FMS, but then again, also not perfect. Now let's have a look at the A220. So this is the most clean and most tidy FMS that I've ever used. What do I mean with that? Well, let's talk some basics. You got several different menus up here, which are called tiles. Within each tile, you have several tabs. Now the tiles basically comprise of the different elements that you need to operate on when programming your FMC. The tabs basically are the different groups within each tile that you need to fill out. Now let's have a look at how intuitive that A220 FMS really is. We're starting on the database screen, where we check the airplane variant, engine variant, the nav database, and that it is actually active. From there, we move on to the position screen. On here, we just go over the FMS position, then we go to the IRS tab, and over here we check that the different IRSs are selected, and we check their drift and their position. Then we go on to the GNSS, and we check that both GNSSs are ticked and their positions, and then we go on to VOR-DME. We check that the VOR-DME, or the basically the raw data updating happens. From there, we move on to the next tile, which is the flight plan tile. Starting on the init page, we are going to go to the flight plan uplink, and we send that uplink. Now here's the only slightly counterintuitive thing in the entire FMS. You need to switch to the secondary flight plan in order to activate the uplink. It does make sense when you think about it. You are not changing the active flight plan, but you are changing the inactive flight plan. So let's click activate, go to execute, and then we can go ahead and program everything down here with the departure, with the arrival, and so on. So I'm just quickly going to put something into here, just so that we can move on. So there's a departure and there's an arrival. Okay, cool. Now that we got that, we execute it, and we could enter the winds and the ISA deviation and stuff, and then we move on. Next tab, wind and temperature. Now that we've entered the basic flight plan, we're uplinking the required winds. When the airplane has that, we move to the fuel tab, where we enter our performance data. So for example, 0 fuel weight 49,520, 0 fuel weight CG 25,0, block fuel 6,200. And then taxi fuel 122, and number of passengers is 140. Something like that. Alright, when that is inserted, we can move on to the performance tile. Over here, you enter your takeoff data, and I'm just going to cut that one short over here by simply pressing the 4 buttons. Click, 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 send to FMS. Alright, everything in, just pressing set V speeds, and with that the takeoff data is set. Now you navigate through the different tabs, so you check the climb speed, the transition altitude, you check the cruising speed. You could already go for the descent information if you wanted to. Finally, when all that stuff is in, we go on to the route page, and over here we check our LEX pages. We can go to the fix page to enter our engine out SID, and then when all of that is done, we go to the via to page, and over here we check that the entire flight plan is correctly uplinked. It's super intuitive, And all you gotta do is to navigate the tiles left to right and the tabs left to right within each of those tiles. And that's everything there is to this FMS. I've never seen such an intuitive FMS in the setup. Now, we've just been talking about the climb. Let's quickly chat about the descent as well. So, those 3 tiles over here basically don't matter in flight. The only 2 that you care about are the performance and the route. Now, let's imagine that we're in cruise and we're about to start setting up our airplane for the approach. We start entering the descent speeds and the transition level and any speed limits and stuff and the angle at which we descend. Then we fill out the arrival page with the landing data so that we know our speeds and all that kind of stuff. Then you move on to the route and you adjust the legs page as necessary. And that's basically it. Once again, the plane is really guiding you through everything, and it's super intuitive and almost impossible to miss any steps if you simply follow that logic on the tiles left to right and then left to right within the tabs of each tile. And that's all you need to do. Now, as mentioned, I find this to be a super intuitive system. I've never had such an easy to use FMS than this one. Try it. You gotta do this a couple times in order to get used to it, like with any new piece of avionics that you're ever going to use. And you will quickly see that this system layout and design, in my personal opinion, is superior to what both Airbus and Boeing have on their own self-constructed aircraft. Well guys, and that's the topic for today's video. Now let me know if you disagree with my opinion over here, and if you think that, for example, an Airbus or a Boeing would make more sense, or if you think that there is stuff in here that could still be improved. Obviously, no system is without flaws. Some things, like the automatic sequencing of flight plan waypoints up here. You gotta check that this is ticked. Yeah, if this is not ticked, and you overfly a waypoint in nav mode, the thing is not going to sequence to the next waypoint. Yeah, that's when it stops being super intuitive. So just gotta make sure that that thing is on. So I'm not saying that this FMS does not have any quirks in it. It absolutely does. But, in my opinion, it's designed in a superior way compared to the standard Airbus and Boeing aircraft that us flight simmers are used to. Alright, now it's up to you though. Leave your feedback in the comments underneath the video. Let me know what you think. I'm really looking forward to the exchange. Thank you very much for watching. As always, be sure to like, comment and subscribe. And if you really love what I'm doing on this channel, you know the drill. Thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to see you all again on the next one.